Hello, everybody. In this video, I want to share with you some really important things to keep in mind so that you can stay confident as a musician, even now during the pandemic of COVID-19. Hi, if we haven't met yet, I'm Jennifer Roig-Francolí. I'm the creator of The Art of Freedom for Conscious Living and Masterful Artistry, and I specialize in helping musicians. I'm also a professional violinist. You can see my violin over there. But my specialty is to help musicians feel better in mind, body, and spirit, and play better, regardless of skill level or instrument. I'm also a certified Alexander Technique teacher, which is a mind-body discipline that helps you to coordinate your thinking with your body so that everything that you do gets easier. Okay, so let's dive in. I want to talk about confidence as a musician. If you're not feeling confident, well, then you are plagued by self-doubt, right? And I do have a question for you today, whether you're watching now or you're watching the replay. I would love it if you could just throw out a hello, tell me you're here. This is actually the first YouTube live video that I've ever done, so I'm kind of excited about that. And I would just love to see, I'm actually not even sure if I can figure out the chat, but I think they're gonna show up here. So I would love to just see you say hello to me so I know you're here. Maybe tell me where you're from, what your instrument is, something like that, so that I can get to know who's here with me. And even if you're watching the replay, I would love it if you would respond that way and we can interact a little bit even later. Also, I want to know how confident you're feeling today as a musician. Today or this week, give me a number from 1 to 10. Number 1 is like, I give up, I'm gonna quit. I hope you're not there. And a 10 is, I am so excited about life now as a musician. I feel like a star and I can't wait to do my next thing. That would be a 10. So I'm gonna put that prompt there in the comments right now, and I would love to get your feedback. How are you feeling as a musician these days? 1 to 10. So if you are not feeling confident, you need to know how to boost your morale, how to stay motivated, how to be positive as a musician. Personally, myself, I have had a tour canceled. I've had performances, live performances canceled. I'm supposed to play the Vivaldi Four Seasons as soloist in May with an orchestra in Pittsburgh, and I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. So when things like COVID, things that are uncertain and really strange circumstances, actually sometimes it's just a little thing that can throw you off. Things like this can really make a blow to your self-confidence. I know that from personal experience as a performer. It's easy to get your self-confidence knocked off balance. It's easy to get thrown off balance. When you are plagued by self-doubt, I like to call those the doubt monsters. You may be worrying at this point about the future of classical music or music, any kind of music. Like you might be worrying, like what's gonna happen? And you may feel a loss of confidence in, excuse me, in the profession as a whole. Or you may be personally worried about where your next paycheck is gonna come from. I have a lot of friends who are freelancers and they depend on live performances. And I'm worried about them and where their income is coming from. So if you can relate to that, I mean, have you personally had any of your performances canceled? Are you worried about the future of your performance career or even your teaching career if you're an educator? Those things can really, lead to a lot of self-doubt and lack of confidence. Are you perhaps in an orchestra and you're worried about the viability of that professional organization? Is it going to survive? The problem is we don't know when the pandemic is going to be over. So the old way of being a professional musician isn't working anymore for now, and we don't know if it ever will. God forbid this could be the new norm. I don't think it will be. I am not at all worried about that. But it's easy to let the mind kind of go in that direction when you can't see the end in sight. because nobody can tell us, oh, in 3 months, everything's going to be back to normal again. In fact, performers often have to schedule a year or more in advance, and it's really hard to do that right now. So you may be worrying about and feeling a lack of confidence in the professional career arena, or maybe you're not a professional, maybe, or even if you are a professional, even if you're at a very high level as a professional, I'm sure you have, because we all do, have those days or weeks or periods in our lives where we don't feel really confident in our own skills or our performance. We lack confidence with certain repertoire, or in certain situations when we're performing, we feel more intimidated. If you're playing at Carnegie Hall, you're probably going to feel more intimidated than if you're playing for your best friend in your living room, right? So very often the circumstance is going to influence how confident we feel or not. And during COVID-19, that big life circumstance is absolutely a factor influencing how confident most of us feel. So you may also be feeling less confident at home or personally, in professional relationships, in family relationships. It's easy to lose your confidence in any area of life that it doesn't feel like things are secure or working successfully. So these are just some, there are infinite ways that we lose our self-doubt or confidence. So I was just giving a few little instances, examples in which you may feel less confident. If any of these ring true or sound familiar to anybody out there, I would love to get your feedback on what you're experiencing right now. And you can message me afterwards if you want to have a personal conversation about this. I'd be happy to talk with you more personally about your unique situation and give you some suggestions if you would like those. Okay, but here are the suggestions that I have for anybody watching. These are really important to keep in mind. The first one is perhaps the hardest to get started with. You need to, I need to, we need to face the truth. We need to assess the reality of the situation externally, but also, and even more importantly, internally. It's very easy when you get stressed or you feel bad to want to suppress how you feel about things by throwing yourself into lots of activity, or avoiding the issues, or trying to stop yourself from thinking about certain things. That can be helpful up to a point. But the problem is when you run away from your feelings, or you try to fix them, or you try to change them, you're not actually being present to your feelings and to yourself. When you are not present to really allowing yourself to feel what you feel, then that increases the tension in your body, and it literally makes it harder for you to do whatever it is that you want to be doing. So for instance, if you want to play scales or arpeggios more in tune, more consistently, more reliably, you want a more reliable technique, it's easier to create a reliable, consistent technique when you have a stable mind-body connection with less tension. And an easier way to say that is when you're more relaxed in yourself, your muscles are going to go more into their natural and resilient way of being. So they're more responsive and fluid. You can access your expressive musical flow more easily when there's less tension in your body. You can move more easily. You can move your fingers more quickly. You can think better in performance, and you can practice better. You're going to be more efficient with your time when you're thinking more quickly. And you will be able to do that much more naturally when you have less tension in your body, not more. Everything gets harder when you're fighting against tension in your body. And we all have tension in the body. The problem is when it gets stuck and it's excess tension that gets in the way, right? It's not appropriate for the actual task. When you're tight, you're less responsive and things aren't working as well as they could be. Unfortunately, most of the tension we experience in our bodies is unconscious because most of the thoughts that we're thinking are unconscious and habitual. This is why does this make sense? Are you following me? I would love to get your feedback if you're watching and listening, and just give me a yes if you're with me and this is making sense. Does it make sense that when you're thinking in a way that is anxious or worried or self-doubting, it increases tension in your body, and that makes everything that you do harder? Hello, I'm seeing Perdid is here, and this makes a lot of sense. Good, thank you for your feedback. It's great to know that we're on the same page here. So you've got to, back to this first step that I'm giving you, is facing the truth and allowing yourself to observe what's going on in your mind, observe and notice what's going on in your body without any judgment. There's nothing wrong with you if you're feeling anxious, worried, or doubtful about yourself, or fearful, or you're lacking in confidence. This is normal. It's normal to feel this way in this environment especially. But the thing is, as soon as you notice this, it's like you've got to do an inventory. Just make some time for yourself to spend with yourself today, ideally. Maybe after you're done watching this, you dedicate 10 minutes to just stopping everything that you're doing, getting out a piece of paper, doing stream of consciousness. This is what I'm noticing about myself right now. Do that, and then see if you can connect it to how you're feeling in your body. Then you're already in the process of healing that and making things easier for yourself. It may not feel that way, because as soon as you allow yourself to feel discomfort and feel the anxiety and feel the compression and tension in your body, that's not pleasant. But if you can watch it as an observer without judging it and just say, okay, I feel this, I'm thinking this, I feel this, I'm thinking this, that's the first step to making things easier. And that's how to build your confidence, by listening to yourself first. Your body is telling you everything that you need to know to get you in a more positive upwards, outwards direction. But first you have to make the time to listen to yourself, to your body, to your thoughts. Face the truth, okay? No judgment. That's very important. Don't make yourself bad or wrong for feeling uncomfortable or fearful or anxious, okay? It's normal. But then, what are you going to do with that information? This is what I teach my coaching clients all the time. I specialize in helping musicians to really get clear on what they want and what's getting in the way, and how to unblock themselves so they can get what they want more efficiently and easily, quickly. I want you to make progress. I want you to feel confident so that you can move forward. And I want you to be able to do that regardless of the external situations, regardless of the craziness in the world right now due to the pandemic. You might be worried about, what's going to happen tomorrow or next month, and, where is your rent money going to come from? Or, what's happening? I mean, I'm thinking of Anne-Sophie Mutter right now, famous violinist, classical violinist that just popped into my mind. I just read recently that Columbia Management is now, they've shut down, that's one of the big artist management companies, and that's her artist management. Suddenly, they can't cope anymore. They can't have their business. It's not viable anymore, so they've shut it down. What a shock to the musical world. And I'm thinking of people like Anne-Sophie Mutter, who've been relying on them probably for decades, perhaps her entire career, suddenly without management. So where are the concerts going to come from? And when are they going to happen? When? Because we don't know when the pandemic's going to be over. So The first step I give you is to face the truth. You have to be aware of the reality outside and very much inside. But then what you do next makes all the difference in the world. You have to know how to manage yourself, starting with your mind. Once you've taken stock, you've done the inventory, you're aware of what's going on, then you need to have specific skills that I teach. I teach, it's not just me, they're out there. You have to know how the mind, the body, the spirit work together as a whole so that you can take charge of yourself and not let circumstances or other people or things influence you so that you start going down. Don't let that happen. If things do influence you and you notice that you're starting to go down, you have to know it, and then you have to start thinking differently to get yourself going up and out and moving forward with confidence. You have to have the skills to do that. You have to know how to do that intellectually, and then you have to have the skills to be able to do that quickly and easily. It's not always easy. Sometimes if you've let yourself go down that spiral for too long, it can feel like turning the Titanic, right? It's not always easy, but it's simple. And when you practice it regularly, daily, I teach my students something called awareness etudes. And I have my students do this for a couple minutes in the morning and in the evening, every single day. So simple, quick, easy to do those awareness etudes is super easy. But that is how you get your mindset back on track. And when your mind is back on track, your body's on track, you're more centered. And when you're centered and calm within yourself, the confidence blooms naturally. Of course, there are many other aspects that help to boost confidence, but ultimately it comes down to having faith in yourself. And you can develop faith in yourself when you have a process that works to build that faith in yourself, and to also have faith in something bigger than yourself. My method is called the Art of Freedom Method for Conscious Living and Masterful Artistry, because I very, very firmly believe from my own experience of a lifetime of experimenting with these things and exploring these ideas, mind, body, spirit ideas. I firmly believe with my whole self, my whole being, that the mind, body, spirit is one thing. You cannot separate your thinking from the effect in the body, and vice versa. You can't separate yourself into compartments like that. And you can't separate yourself from how your activities are coming out. So your instrumental technique can't be separated from what's going on in your mind and your body and your emotions. The output from your musical instrument is always influenced by what's going on in your whole self. That's why it's so important to give yourself time to observe what's actually going on so that you can become more at ease in yourself and bring a self that's more at ease, open, relaxed, responsive to your musical instrument, because that's how to get inspired and motivated and access flow. When you know how to do these things, when you have a plan, and you understand how things work, again, it's very simple. I teach this very quickly and simply to all of my coaching clients and people in my group classes as well. It's simple and it works because it's natural. It's how we're designed to function. It is mind-boggling to me that people do not know how important it is to think in a very clear way that is not cluttered, so that you know what you want, you don't pay attention to the other stuff, and you go for what you want with relaxation instead of pushing yourself. That's what makes everything work. And when things start to work, even just a tiny little bit, that little tiny bit of going in the right direction builds your confidence. Okay, so I'm seeing a comment here. I find concentrating on deep belly breathing and saying a mantra in my mind helps with this. Good. Helps me attune to my body, and becoming attuned to my body draws attention away from the flurry of thoughts. Yeah, so you have a way to be linking up a calmer mind with a calmer body. I mean, they are one thing. And there are many ways to do this, right? I am totally aware that mine is not the only way, obviously. And by the way, my Art of Freedom method is very much based on the Alexander technique, of which I'm a certified teacher, but it's also based on my experience, for decades, really practicing contemplative disciplines and becoming really aware of how to be centered and mindful in silence and also in activity. So yes, there are many ways to do this. I love mine personally because I include how to apply it to activity, in particular your artistry. So the 5 pillars of my method, the Art of Freedom method for conscious living and masterful artistry, are the following. You need to start with purpose. You have to know what you want and why, and that is not so easy to access if it's not something that you've thought about before. So there is absolutely no rush to get connected and aligned with your true purpose for being. What really works, though, is if you're open to purpose. The second pillar is the mind. Getting control over your mindset, your attitude, your thoughts, knowing what to do with your inner critic that says, I'm not good enough. The inner critic that worries and experiences anxiety before performance, the mind that gets distracted by shiny object syndrome or has imposter syndrome, the mind that can't focus or focuses on the wrong things because priorities are out of whack. Combination of 1 and 2, purpose and mind, is something I help my coaching clients with at the very beginning. Developing a big picture outlook and plan and knowing where you're going, what you want, and how to get there. And that includes mental discipline. I teach it in a way that's very easy, very simple, and you build on it daily so that it stays simple and easy. The third pillar is the body, because you must take care of your body if you want to feel confident. You've got to feel comfortable in your own skin, regardless of the circumstances. And if you are in a circumstance that is scary or anxiety provoking or intimidating, you have to know how to be present with that sense of unease so that you can turn it around with the skills that you're learning. Right? So we have purpose, mind, body. Fourth pillar of the Art of Freedom method is spirit. Now, spirit can mean whatever you want it to mean. It doesn't have to be religious. It could be a sense of God, that kind of spirit, or source, or universe, or Mother Nature, however you want to think of it. I feel that we can all agree that we bring a creative spirit to our artistry. And whatever the source of that is, I'm going to leave up to you. And I have my own thoughts of that, but everybody can access love, or at least intend to bring love to their artistry. Love, creativity, just the spirit that you bring to your artistry, that is that fourth pillar. Absolutely essential. The other aspect of the fourth pillar is inspiration. I love to teach people how to access inspiration, how to open up and instantly know how to connect to the source of inspiration and how to convey that through your self-expression, through your musical expression out your instrument, no matter what your instrument is. So those are the 4 pillars. And then the 5th pillar is your actual artistry, your musical practice, performance, how you practice, how you bring yourself on stage, or how you set yourself up in front of the camera, how you teach. It's the how-to, it's the practical, it's the skills, and it's the knowledge. Obviously, you can't be a great violinist if you don't know how to hold the violin, right? And you have to know how to play in tune. You have to know how to play with good rhythm. All these things, all the specifics of how you express your ideas out through your instrument, that is the fifth pillar of the Art of Freedom method. So just to recap, we have purpose, mind, body, spirit, and then your artistry, your music, how you do it. So I just gave you a very quick overview of what I teach. And when you start to be able to integrate all these aspects, and again, this is something I help my students do very quickly. In fact, like the first time we meet, they are taught skills that they can start practicing on day one to integrate all of these things. And then over time, you learn how to bring that presence of mind, that ease, that conscious awareness of what's happening to your music making so that you can play things that are super complicated, like the Tchaikovsky violin concerto or a Rachmaninoff piano concerto. You can actually do it with mind, body, ease, conscious awareness, presence of mind, body, and spirit. When you start to see even just the smallest change on day one, and everybody I work with does, without exception. I've never worked with anybody, and I've worked with hundreds of people teaching these skills. There hasn't been a single person who hasn't been able to make a change to take them in the direction of feeling more confident. My students feel more hopeful, encouraged, and confident immediately on day one. And then they know exactly what to do on day two, on day three, and day four until we meet again. So if you're curious about exactly like what I'm talking about, like how to do what I'm talking about, how to get conscious control of your mind, body, self in a way that actually allows you to let go and be more open to what's happening and less reactive, less controlling in a way. It's very paradoxical. You gain more control over yourself by letting go of needing to control a situation that you can't control. But the amazing and miraculous thing is that when you have more control over yourself, things outside start to line up and it gets easier, and you have more faith in yourself, and you also have more faith in your environment. Right now, during the pandemic, your faith in the world, the environment, people, politics may be somewhat shaken, and that may be contributing to a lack of confidence or more self-doubt in yourself and the system. And that may be, I mean, if it's not, all power to you, but I think most musicians these days have been somewhat or a lot thrown off by the current events because you can't perform or teach in person anymore, at least most of us, most of the time. So you have to learn how to become really adaptable. You need to know how to get inspired and creative so that you can learn the things that you need to learn, to use technology or use video and all the things. You need to be able to do that with confidence. So if you're feeling like you would like a little more confidence or a lot more confidence, then first of all, I invite you to join my Facebook group, which you may not know about here on YouTube. It's called the Mind, Body, Spirit Tribe for Musicians. It's my free Facebook group, and we've got, at this point, something like 2,300 members. It's a very lively group of musicians from all over the world. So I would love it if you would come over there and also just find out more. If you want to find out more about what I do, send me a message here on YouTube or go to my website. It's www.artoffreedom.me. That's .me. Come on over there and check out the specific things that I do. Best way is just to contact me so we can talk personally and I can find out more about your unique situation and what you might be struggling with that you might need a little more help with. I'm here to help. I'm here to help musicians feel better in mind and body, to overcome pain. By the way, my students, almost without fail, I've worked with so many people in pain from playing their instruments and getting over injuries, and my students learn how to deal with pain, and a lot of them very soon become pain-free. And this is all over the internet. I've been teaching over the internet for years exclusively, not just because of the pandemic. So contact me if you want to know more. And before I leave, I'm just going to hop over to the comments again. Hello, Steve. Hey, it's great to have you here. Watching the replay. Actually, you're watching live. I'm still here. It's about 6 where you are. I'm not sure where you are. Where are you, Steve? I'm here in Cincinnati, and for me, it's actually more like 1:30 p.m. Time to practice today. That is great, and I'm glad you're enjoying the video. If you have any questions, I'm still here, so you can have more of a conversation if you want. Great. So just to wrap up again, it is totally possible to build your confidence when you know how to take care of your whole self and bring your whole self into awareness. You start with self-observation. Make that inventory list that I talked about. Ask yourself, what am I thinking? Write it down. What am I worried about? What am I anxious about? What am I doubtful about? Just write it down like stream of consciousness. And then connect to your body. It's like, how does that make you feel in your body? Write that down. It's about facing the truth about the situation around you, within you, without judgment, okay? And then learn the skills that you need. Come to me. I would love to teach you these very specific skills, how to get control over your whole self in a way that inspires you, motivates you, makes you happy, regardless of what's going on out there. Actually, it keeps you healthier and makes it less likely that you're going to get sick from this thing. Hopefully you are healthy right now. So, and I also gave you the 5 pillars of the Art of Freedom method for conscious living and masterful artistry. So I want to thank you all for watching. Those of you who are here live with me now, and also if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching. And I hope to do more of these YouTube live videos in the future. You happen to be here on my very first one. And if you want to share this with your friends, family, anybody, I would just love it if you would hit subscribe also. And yeah, just be here. I might start doing a regular show on YouTube if people would like that. And that's what I've got. So thanks again. Like the video, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Lots of love.